Thokozani, Thokozani family, Thokozani royals. We are back. I am out of jail. I am out of TikTok jail. So I'm here. Thokozani, Thokozani, Hotep royals, Thokozani. Please tap the screen. Just tap the screen. Let me know you can hear me. Please do let me know that you can hear me by tapping the screen real quick, and letting me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you are at in the world. Yes, there they go, the hearts. So family, I don't know who was on the last recording that I did here. I don't know who was on the last live that I was, which ended very briefly, like cut. Yeah, and then I continued it on my other account. So in case you wondered where that series had gone, because I think we were on part 2 of the Gregorian calendar and misalignment, it's actually a 5-part because we're going through each month. That is posted on YouTube. It's African with a K, spirituality Gogo Nkanyezi speaks. So if you missed out because I was on another account and the times that I chose to record, I think a lot of people were not able to come on. I was literally just recording so that I could put it on YouTube. So the whole series is now on YouTube. But it's done, hopefully, and my 7 days sentence is up. That's why I'm back here on my account where my favorite people who know me, the other account is very small. It's actually a business account where I've got all the herbs and stuff like that, and I've got some merch. But this is the account where, I come to play and post things and so on. So how is everyone doing? Let me know where you're tuning in from, please. I love to kind of get an idea of who I'm talking to at what point. And, as Bagwantu, yes, we do have quite significant cultural differences. So sometimes I like to gauge who all is on, so I know where to pitch the discussion. And I also know whether I should break into isiZulu or stick with the Englishes. So do let me know where you're tuning in from. And quite frankly, this is like very informal. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, spirituality type questions. I do want to put it out there that I'm not going to be answering questions about your dreams. Do not bring your dreams here. Dreams are very sacred, very private. I do not do dream interpretation outside of a consultation. So yeah, other than that, you can pretty much ask me anything in that spiritual space. You can ask about anything that has to do with spirituality. I'm quite happy to answer those questions. I think the best to do is you can type your questions in, but if you do want to come on as a guest, feel free to send a request and then make your question brief, because then I'll take you off so I can answer your question without too much interference, right? Sometimes we have instability in the network, especially if I put like way too many people at a time. So please feel free to ask a question that you might have about spirituality. Sometimes people ask questions. Yes, hi. You catch me on YouTube. Actually, you catch me here. What you see on YouTube is recorded here, my love. So yeah, I know it's strange feeling. Hey, somebody's like, hey, Auntie Brittany, it's you. Hi, Brittany. Hope you're doing well, love. I really hope you're doing well. Joburg, baby, currently in Houston, Texas. Thokozani niyaphila na. Can you do iladi and have to wear isiphandla? Ma, can you do iladi and have to wear isiphandla? Okay. Iladi and isiphandla don't really go together, because what we call isiphandla, actually I have one here that yeah, you see, you're in luck. I always have the props. When we talk about isiphandla, we're talking about this. This is when there's been a ceremony at home, or a ritual, or you've done some sort of ritual for yourself, particularly if you are ancestrally gifted, and from the animal that is slaughtered, there is a piece of there's like a piece of hide that is taken off a part of the animal, which you put on immediately, and it kind of dries on you and it stays. So I have two of these, and the reason I'm not wearing these particular ones, but they stay very close to me, is that I have some already. Like, I have a lot of these because as an ancestral child, I do a lot of ritualing. So sometimes, I've had grandmothers come and they're in a lot of pain and I've had to cleanse them. And how I've had to cleanse them is they'll tell me that they would like me to slaughter a white goat. And so after that work, I will put these on. It's very interesting, but it is an ancestral connection, because if you know that the goat or the sheep in Sesotho and in maybe other cultures are literally ancestral animals. That's why you hardly find back home people who just eat goat anyhow. Like, you can't go to a meat store and say, I want to buy some goat. Those animals are sacred animals in a lot of ways, and they're not just slaughtered just like that. They are used in ceremony and ritual, and then afterwards it's like a keepsake. So for example, if the ritual or ceremony was done for an entire family, then maybe you'll find that, the entire family will get this. It is not a necessity to have one, but a lot of people like them because it's also a reminder of a great ceremony that you've done for your ancestors. Some of them, it's like an ancestral connection as well. Much like these beads are ancestral connections. So a lot of people like to wear them. So you asked about iladi. Iladi is like a gift that you're doing for your ancestors that does not require the slaughtering of anything. It's usually fruit, it's usually liquor, it's usually traditional brewed beer. It's usually, most of us put traditional foods there like millet, sweet potato, maheu. So iladi and isiphandla aren't necessarily connected. Right? I was just trying to make that distinction for you. And I hope I've made that kind of clear. Your mom finally came in your dreams. I'm so happy. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I did say that she had to go through some stuff, and that if you waited, she would eventually show up. I'm so happy for you. Yay! That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So this is one of my babies. She's, Brittany, if you don't mind, I'll just say she lost her mom, was worried that she had not heard from her. And I said, sometimes they have things that they need to work through. People forget that after you die, you don't immediately go off to the ancestral. That is why it is very easy to mess with the spirits of people who have recently died, because they're still very much low frequency. And so people can mess with them easily. Like, remember, I've told you the ritual where you need to take a branch, either a palm frond or a tree called umlahlankosi, and fetch your loved ones from places where they perished, whether that be in hospital, whether that be an accident site, whether it be in their own bedroom. You need to take their spirit out. Otherwise, it'll stay there and you'll just take the body on to wherever you're taking it and bury it. But their spirit stays hovering at that place where they exited. So when they do transition, they don't automatically and immediately go into a space where they can now kind of get in touch with you. Sometimes it takes a whole year. Sometimes it takes 2 years. Beyond that, we start looking at what might be interfering with either their ascension or their connecting with you. right? Okay, that's great. So Brittany, I'm super happy. See, I love good news. I love good news. It validates the work that we are called to do. Thank you so much. What else is there? I went to a prophet to cleanse for the babies I lost before they were born. He said, I need imbuzi. Well, that is the child recognition. Well, there's the cleansing and then there's the child recognition ceremony. Different people say different things. So, for example, when I am back home and I am doing the cleansing for either abortion or a miscarriage, I give options. I say you can either use a white goat or we use white chickens. White is symbolic of purity. We are cleansing, right? So I give options because not everybody's pocket is the same. So somebody cannot be denied an important ritual because especially if there is an alternative. And I'm telling you right now, right here, the chickens work just fine. The goat, of course, is more expensive. So if you can get yourself a chicken or chickens, that's fine. And then we do your cleanse, using certain parts of that animal and the herbs, after which we then do the child recognition ceremony, which is now where you get to name the spirit, you get to clothe the spirit. We do like a birthday party for the spirit, because really what that is a reconciliation between you and that spirit, especially if it's an abortion, because there tends to be a lot of anger with the Manono spirits or these baby spirits who know exactly what you did, why you did, and so there's a lot of appeasement we need to do there. And remember, if you do it after you've already had some children, they've watched you do birthday parties and recognitions of birthdays for these kids, something which they will never get to have because they never made it into this incarnation. And the name is very important. One of the first things when I do consultations that these child spirits say when they come through is, Lipi Gamalami. Where's my name? I don't have a name. I don't have clothes. It's cold here. I'm all by myself. Because they're trapped. So our job then is to provide those things and cleanse them. So we raise their vibration and then they can get into the ancestral realm, and they're usually amazing ancestors to you, and they're wonderful, wonderful protectors for their siblings who are still here on earth. So guys, the child recognition is very important. There are a lot of women and some men, particularly the men who were the cause for said abortion, because there are some men who say, I don't want it, get rid of it. Well, it's not an it. We're talking about a living being. We're talking about a spirit here. And they can cause major trouble in your life. They will block things. They will mess up relationships. They will block future pregnancies sometimes, because remember, they sit at the sacral chakra, at that reproductive space in that pelvic area. They will block that, and you won't be able to conceive. You'll go to doctors. Doctors will tell you everything looks fine. You've got 1 billion eggs. Your reproductive system looks fine. There doesn't seem any damage. They might even do a hormone panel where they look at your hormones to see if there might be a hormonal problem as to why you're not conceiving. Hormonal problems result in eggs not being released. They result in the uterine lining not thickening enough for implantation. They result in fertilization itself not taking place. So they'll look at your whole self and they'll tell you everything checks out. Then you come to someone like me, and the first thing that happens when you sit here is, boom, a little one appears, a very angry little one. So these rituals are important. These cleanses are important. Now, for people who are in the US, I have a set cleanse that I do and I send to you to do, because clearly I don't have rivers and waterfalls to put you under and to do all this. But there are ways in which we do these cleanses, and then afterwards we do the recognition. Yeah. And remember, it's a no judgment zone. I mean, who am I to judge anybody? And there are different circumstances. I'm not here to judge, but these little spirits can be very, very judgmental. Remember, you're dealing with child spirits. So if you can imagine a 2 or 3-year-old throwing a tantrum, that's what you're going to get. And you can't lie to them either. You can try to lie to me, but then if they show up and you can't because it messes the whole thing up. I once had my camera flung off the tripod into the air because the mom was lying, and this candles blew out. Listen, it was a mess. It was scary. So I'm just trying to say that don't mess with the spiritual, because really sometimes you'll get slapped by something you can't even see. So you got to be very careful. You've got to come with pure intentions if you're going to do this. So just FYI there. So he said you need imbuzi. So I've explained that it's not always imbuzi. It can be done in other ways. Yes, Manono can make you childish. Yes. Well, mine are my aunties who didn't make it on earth. Yeah, those of us who carry Manono spirits can be whole fools. We can be unbelievable. And you know when they're around because you literally act silly. You act like a kid. A lot of people wonder why I'm always laughing. And sometimes I think, they tickle me. People think I'm really strange because I'm always laughing, but I'm like, I carry Manono spirits. I have child spirits. My gift giver entourage it has some Manonos in them. So a lot of the times, and I think it's interesting because I think they also assist when I'm doing very heavy lifting in terms of heavy work. It assists, they heal my clients, because they bring a playfulness and a lightness to a situation that would otherwise be heavy. Remember, when we're doing healing work, guys, particularly when we're healing about things that have already happened, there is no point in staying in a low vibrational state about something that's happened. Our job is to find a solution. First, we diagnose the problem, find a way forward so that we can move on with life. And I think the Manono spirits are very good at sort of diluting what could be very intense and very heavy and making it light. Not making light of it, like not making a joke out of it, but certainly making it light so that the other person sees that, you know what, life does go on after XYZ, right? So I love my Manono spirits. Yeah, I do. So any other questions, comments that I can speak on? That's true. Thanks for clarity. I'm doing right by them this month. Togoza and Lovugazi. That's exactly right. I just do also want to say that if you are still with your partner, and this is the father of these Manono spirits, it is very advisable for you to cleanse together, right? And I do know that there are women who have done some things behind their partner's back. That's well and good. When we do the cleansings, we take that into account because, it's entirely up to you whether you want to come clean. However, we do advise that they take cleansing herbs for their partner so that the partner cleanses, because if the partner doesn't cleanse while we've done everything in the recognition, somehow you will still get that imprint back on you through your partner, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind. If the partner is long gone and you're not in touch, hey, we deal with just you and these beautiful babies. I love Manonos, the beautiful beings. So I had a niece that passed, she had numerous abortions. Would I do recognition for hers? Yeah, because then you see that's two-layered. First, you do a recognition for these, especially if you know how many they are. It assists us in connecting with them. If she's your blood niece, I would be able to draw on them through the blood tie, right? I've had women come and do these for their sisters. So if she's your blood niece, I am able to connect with them based on that. You couldn't do it for a friend, say. That's just impossible. You couldn't do any rituals for a friend. You are not of that lineage, and so there's no connection. So, and we just couldn't do that. But definitely, if she's your niece, definitely we could do that and take care of this debt for her, because it is a spiritual debt that she has. And then we could then do a cleanse to release her, because there's no way she's gone anywhere if she crossed over with this kind of spiritual debt. So she too will be stuck. So you clear this debt for her, then we cleanse her to make sure that she also can ascend. Togos. That was a good question, actually. Very good question. I had a dream of catching ghosts for my boss in Nigeria. I kept catching and laughing. And okay. I told you not to talk about your dreams here, and you're still doing it. High life, be a girl over a year and now gone weird. Please, I don't understand what that means. So you're going to have to write in full sentence. I don't get it. So we've done the winter prophet. Gogo, you know our New Year started in September. Me, I'm in the middle of my year. She's like, Happy New Year. My New Year started in September. African New Year starts in September, in spring. So we are in season 4. We are already inside our New Year. I don't recognize any of that other stuff. This is the reason I did the whole Gregorian series, is so that I can teach people about that calendar and the mess we're all partaking in. But I know what you mean, where Makosi, where Ndlondlo. I know this comes from your heart. And so I'm sending you so much love right back to you. Thank you. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Togoza mtumtan. Let's see what else. Guys, you don't have any questions for me at all? Please do ask the questions. Ask the questions. The ancestors are here for a free for all. Any questions you might have, please guys tap the screen if tap so that we get more people on here. Because what about siblings who have abandoned? Oh, what's this? Thokoza Mkhulu, what about siblings who have abandoned their kids physically? Eish, those ones. Abandon their kids, like having them at home while they go off somewhere and have someone else take care of them. Well, look, for what it's worth, I mean, there are consequences to every behavior, right? So while it might look like they're getting away with stuff here in the physical, it looks that way because maybe nothing is happening. They've gone off, and you know, maybe you or mom or if someone else has the burden of taking care of these kids. There are consequences, and those consequences may not be immediately obvious, but there will be consequences. They will reap that, because remember, children don't stay small forever. And many people don't realize that children as young as 2 and 3 remember things. So there will come a point where they may try to reconnect with these kids. And unfortunately, selfish parents only reconnect with their kids when they start to need them or need something from them. Meanwhile, somebody else raised those kids for you. Now you are middle age or going into your old age, and you feel a sense of entitlement just because you're the biological parent. Meanwhile, you contributed nothing to their raising. This is when things really start to go bad, because a lot of these children aren't going to hear it. A lot of these children will now be saying things that will sting and stab the heart, because they remember. And they will remember those who raised them, especially if they were kind and caring to them. I guess it's the world we're living in now, where I don't know. Bagwantu, as the Black family, we have a lot of issues, and a lot of those issues have to do with the whole single parenting thing. I mean, our relationships are broken. And so invariably, a lot of people are making children without much thought going into it. And that's because many of us are stuck in 3D. We're stuck in the physical. We have not yet come to a place where we realize that the sex act is a creative act. And one of the products of that act is children. Duh. Right? Duh. So we don't function on that frequency of what I call living intelligently. We are just winging it, most of us. Many of us are doing things and, well, damn the consequences. Or, very childish way of living, which is, I'll deal with the consequences when they come. My question, particularly to Indlovukazi, is, why aren't you preventing? For starters. Secondly, the fact that you're falling pregnant means that there was no protection either. And like I keep saying to people, there is an upsurge in sexually transmitted diseases. There are also spiritually transmitted diseases, but let's forget about those since we're all living in the flesh. Okay? So all these considerations, Bagwantu, the black family, does not want to reckon with the consequences of their actions, which is a lot of children who are being born, some of them, most of them, not planned, most of them not even wanted. They are simply a consequence of bad choices, and that is a tragic way to bring children into the world. I gotta say it. A tragic way to bring a spirit from the spirit realm into this world. Because there are ways in which you can prevent that. Particularly if financially you're not ready, emotionally you're not ready, you're not even in a stable relationship or a partnership that is functional for you to do that. And why do I place the burden on Indlovukazi? Because ultimately it's your body. And ultimately you get a say-so in what happens. You get a say-so. There's no man who comes with a weapon or a pew-pew and says and puts this against your head and says, lay up and have a child now. There isn't. There isn't. So you are doing this. So Indlovukazi, whether you want to accept or not, that's why the burden in the end is with you. Because the decision in the beginning has to have been yours. Do you get me? The burden in the end is yours because the decision in the first place has to have been yours. The female elephant knows this very well. That's why she paces herself and sees who out there is worthy to be the sire or the father. Based on certain criteria she chooses, she takes her time before she then says, okay, you can mount me because your pedigree is great. I see you're brave. You've got great tasks. Let's do this. But what are we doing? We've lost it. We've lost the plot. So I think, we need to come back to that. And that will prevent all these children who are then born and are funneled to grandmothers and are funneled to Kailiga Malume, aunties and uncles. And a lot happens to these children. You guys, you have no idea. In our practice, we meet a lot. From little girls being raped by uncles and even little boys now are having stuff done to them, to children being mistreated by the wives of said uncles or aunties, and sometimes they don't given food. I once had a case of a child who was being fed with the dogs. Like literally when the dogs got food in their plate, he was told to go there and eat with the dogs. Those are some of the things you expose these spirits to when you make the choice to lay up without first thinking or about what you're going to do. And when you ask people, why would you do, why? Someone will tell you, I wasn't ready to bring a child into the world. Okay, so why didn't you do something about it? You already knew before the act that you weren't ready. So there was something you could have done to prevent. What happened? And let me just speak to the women who say, I had a child because my boyfriend wanted a child. I'm here to tell you something. Even if your husband wants a child, if you are not ready to have a child, don't do it. Because that's a decision you're making, and the consequences and the burden of that decision will rest squarely with you. Raising a child is not just about somebody being able to provide money, right? So even if you're in a marriage and you're stable and your partner works and makes a good salary, if you psychologically, emotionally, spiritually aren't ready to be a mother, don't do it. Don't do it for the peanut gallery. Don't do it for the in-laws. Don't do it for your friends. Don't do it because all your friends around you are having kids. Now you suddenly feel peer pressure. Once you have this child and that entire pregnancy time and the child is born, that is your responsibility 99.9% of the time. It is from your body that this being is going, your body is going to be the portal through which this spirit comes into this world. It's your breast that is going to nurse this child. Most of the times, if you have a partner who's working, they're going to focus on pumping the money in, but you're changing the diapers, you're washing the baby. When the child is sick at night, you're the one with this baby who's sick. And let me tell you, when your child is sick, you're sick too. Like raising kids is not a joke, especially if you are a conscious parent who wants to do it well. When your child is not well, you're not well. When your child can't sleep, you can't sleep. When your child can't eat, all hunger goes from you. Because and this little being is 500% dependent on you in those first years of life. You literally carry this life in your hands. So it's not a decision to take lightly. That's why for me, when children are having children, you're 16-year-olds, listen, for me, you're 20, you're 21, you're having a child, you're still a child. Because your brain is not even fully developed at that point. So when you have a 16-year-old having a child, they go into a state of arrested development because now there's this new life that they suddenly have to grow up for to take care of. And then we wonder why we have women at 36 who had kids at 16 still acting like 16-year-olds. Well, that's those little girls in there still wanting to party, still wanting to do things that 16-year-olds do. We need to start taking this issue seriously. It's a big, big problem. And because of our brokenness, because of how we might have come into the world, we've literally created a broken Black family, right? The Black nation is broken. Gonna take a lot of fixing, but it's broken. These are the same people who will grow up to become adults who are dysfunctional in relationship. Because I don't know what a relationship is. They don't know how to respect women or women how to respect men. It's just a mess. And it all comes from that foundation that is so chipped and messed up. So I hope I've answered your question in an elaborate way. So do you have amatwasa in America? No, I don't have amatwasa in America. I can't because there's no way. There's no way. Over here, there's no way to do everything that you would need to do ephetweni. So I have mentees for the most part. And I have mentees from all over the world, not just in America. I have mentees from all over the place. And those who need to go ukuyotwasa, most of the time we do the groundwork for them to go ukuyotwasa. Most will go ukuyotwasa having done some serious inner healing work and having come to know themselves better. Because one of the things that Umoya showed me is if itwasa or someone who's supposed to initiate has no deep knowledge of themselves, how then do they get to understand where they end and Dlozi takes over, or where Dlozi ends and it's them? It becomes very, very confusing. And it can lead to a lot of people, it can lead to mental instabilities, like real confusion. So it becomes very important that somebody who's going ephetweni gets to know themselves first and does some inner healing. Because the person that is you going ephetweni, unhealed with lots of childhood wounds, childhood traumas, anger issues, When you go through that very arduous process, a lot of people come out of it more hardened than they were before they went in. And I always said to my Gobela myself when we were discussing these things, when I was a Petlweni, I said, you know, this issue of people coming a Petlweni unhealed, it is so hard to go through initiation school. Kahle kahle, by the end of it, all we're going to be churning out as Okobela are abatagati, because it really can harden your heart if you weren't healed. If you were angry, you can come out of it raging. So the inner healing before you go Petlweni, for me, is very important. Matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, it is part of the Uktwasa process. It's just that with everybody sort of speeding this process up, you come in, we put you through rituals. They don't really deal with the inner you. They're dealing with these ancestors, right? They are dealing with amadlozi, ancestors, and they're not dealing with you. You're just a vessel, and you're treated as such. But if you're an unhealed vessel, oh my gosh. If you're an unhealed vessel, it gets very messy. It gets very messy. So I hope I've answered that question about my work and my role. No, don't worry, Queen. Apology accepted. So it's important to wait to get initiated before you. Is it important to wait to get initiated first before you plan to have a baby? I don't know what you mean to get initiated first. If you're somebody with an ancestral calling and you're supposed to go in Twasa, I would go and take care of that business, because you don't want. See, let me explain it this way. Unless you have a special relationship with your ancestors where you can negotiate for some things, some of us didn't have that luxury. When it came time to go in Twasa, it was time to go in Twasa. There was no negotiating about it. It was time to go. I believe when I was younger and the signs started showing, my great aunt, who knew what was going on with me, was able to negotiate on my behalf by saying, please allow her to finish school, please allow her to do this. But you can only buy time for so long before it hits. So my own advice, I mean, and please don't take this as the way to do it, because really I think what you would need is to consult with someone to make sure that you're on the right track. But what I would give as advice in that situation, I'd say go in Twasa. Go take care of your ancestral business. Settle that ancestral business, and then you can have a child. But then you see, also remember that once you are initiated, the rules and regulations around your conception and you having a child changes. You see, ancestral people cannot come back from Twasa and expect to live the way normal people. You can't just lay up with someone and have a baby. Neither do ancestors like this idea that you go and shack with someone, just go and live with someone. You're gonna have issues around those kind of things. So you got to be straightforward. Once you come out of Petlweni, your life is going to change. I laugh at these people who say, I want, there's my life as so-and-so, and then there's my life as Gogo so-and-so. Guys, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Two things are happening here. It's either you didn't Twasa nothing, you just went through some processes and came out and everything was pro forma, and you didn't Twasa anything. Number two, there's no such thing as separating your life out. How do you fragment who you are? Because once you Twasa, you become Gogo Omkhulunkanyezi. You become Gogo's Banban. That's who you become. So how do you separate? What do you do? How do you take these ancestors out of your body and put them on the altar and say, okay, it's my time now, I'm going to a party? It doesn't exist, guys. I'm laughing because it's just, the notion is ridiculous. The notion is ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, it's either you Twasad nothing. And I'm sorry to have to say it, because there are probably some people who are going to take offense. You Twasad nothing. You went to learn some mutis, you learned how to do some rituals, you learned to go to and fake a trance, but you toss at nothing. You cannot go petrol and come out and expect that you're going to live the same life you lived before you went in. Many of us had to let go of so much you have no idea. From the things we eat to the things we wear. Yay, it's rough. I used to like my nice human hair wigs. I now have to do synthetic. And even then, because I'm not allowed to put things on my crown that don't belong to me. And by the way, just as an aside, I've had people on YouTube say to me, if you're so African and so spiritual, why are you putting white people hair on your head? And I haven't answered that, but I think I'm going to address that now. For starters, guys, just to school you, the wig did not come from white people. The wigs came from ancient Kemet. Ancient Kemetians used to shave their hair so that they wouldn't get lice because it's very hot. The first creators of wigs were women in Ndlovukazi. So let's not get it twisted. That is why I can do this. Of course, I'm not putting somebody's hair. And the wigs that they made, they used to make from papyrus thread. They used to make from sisal plant threads. Okay? So all of y'all, and it's always the guys. It's always the men. It's always the men who talk nonsense. So all of you all who are over here worried about me and what I've got on my head, worry about the content and not the person. Why are you busy looking at me in the first place in that way? Mind your business, but I thought I'd educate you to say that the first wig makers were us, our ancestors. Women in Kemet were rocking wigs. They were rocking makeup too. If you guys want a whole teaching on that with the pictures to boot, I can do one for you. Show me some hearts and I will do the full teaching for you, because me, I know what I know. And I've been knowing what I've been knowing. People want to tell us how we're supposed to be looking now. Nonsense. Like me, guys, when it comes to me, like, men just don't like sit here and learn something, but don't come at me with that energy of wanting to try to dictate what and who and with whomst. Like, I have a Mkulu, and Mkulu and you will go toe to toe. Mkulu doesn't, yeah. So when you come, don't look at me like you're looking at some sister. I'm not a sister. I'm Mkulu. So our energy is going to clash if you come at me like sideways, like a sidewinder snake. Don't do that. You won't get very far. And most importantly, I'll just block you. Like, I'm so good with the block button. Yeah, they like to control and demean. That's, yeah, because they're sick, most of them. They're sick. So, you know, and some of us are so healed that your sickness we see from a mile away. We see it in the subtext. You write something, I'm able to read what you didn't write. So, to lunch. Asoze. Yeah, bafuna ukusicontrol asoze. Awu, control ubani. Nami ngikhehla ngiyindoda nginje. So uzocontrol ubani la. Yeah. Anyway, any other questions? Yeah, somebody says, yes, true. Ancestors are very strict. That's why I say they are. Yeah, they're old school. What else? I'm trying to see if there are any other questions. I don't see any questions. Guys, any other questions, comments that I can teach around? I love these, you know. Togoza. Yes, you're most welcome. NKG says, thank you for the teaching. Yeah. Yeah, the teacher ancestors are very happy when I do this. So, yeah, when they're happy, I'm happy. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any questions. Tokozani, is it common to twasa in the spirit, like the ancestors teach you themselves? Yeah. guys, it's the word ukutwasa basically is means to learn, right? Ukutwasa means to learn. So if we use that term broadly, yes, your ancestors are able. Most of us are taught things by our ancestors. Most of us, we learn things when we go to initiation school, but the real journey of learning, and that's how it becomes an individual ancestral journey. While you're in initiation school, there are very many basic common things that all of you are going to learn. Of course, your gobela will also be guided on certain things based on your dreams. And those are the only differences, but the basics are all going to be the same. What will then make you unique and your practice unique is what your ancestors start downloading and teaching you after initiation school. Because a lot of the times, those ways of doing things are lineage ways of doing things. Right? They're within your family bloodline, and so they're going to teach you their ways. And some of them don't want to show you these things while you're in the initiation space, because that is those secrets that they're going to teach you to enhance your unique practice. Do you get? A lot of people start specializing, like becoming maybe a healer who works only with women and children. But when you're there, you're learning the general. You learn how to do certain cleanses. You learn how to do certain rituals. You know what parts you need from which animal in order to use in a cleanse, right? You learn certain basic imiti. You learn herbs to treat this, herbs to treat that. And there are millions of herbs, so you cannot learn all of them. But you're given a broad, like when you then go home, your pharmacy is quite broad. Anyone can come in, but you're gonna have to supplement and get in more stuff. And most of all, you may even need to tweak some of the rituals that you learned in initiation school to suit what works well with your ancestors, or how to make it better, or how to make it unique. Do you get? So there's a one size fits all at some point, but not really. But then when you come out, it really becomes your own unique journey. Because now you're on your own. You've got your own ndumba. You've got your own clients. That's when the ancestors become active and they start teaching you. And I always say, as a healer, you need to be open to learning, even from other healers, particularly if you develop good relationships with other healers, which is recommendable because you can never be a master of everything. I've always said to people, I have people at home who I refer for certain things, firstly, because sometimes I'm here when it needs to be done. But secondly, because I know, for example, some of my siblings are masters at cleansing homes and protecting homes. Like, they are masters at it. I don't have that much experience in it. Did I learn a little bit when I was in initiation? So sure. But the complexities and to get it to be an expert at it, I'm not an expert at that. I'm not an expert at that huge home cleanse. Those from home know what I mean, right? Ukubethela umuzi. That there are people who are really skilled at that, right? So I refer clients who need that done because I can figure that out when we have a consultation, that no, there's this going on in your yard, there's a tigoloshi running around, there's imfene from wherever that is doing XYZ. I call on them to go and do that work, because they are skilled in dealing with those types of malevolent spirits, those spirits that come and really just occupy somebody's home. They're then skilled in removing them, and then they're skilled in making sure they protect the home so that they never come back. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, what does marriage signify in the spiritual realm? Is it an end to a war between two ancestors? Marriage, an end to a war between two ancestors. Okay, I'm not sure I get you, but let me start here. Marriage in the spiritual realm, actually, traditional or traditional African marriage is about the spiritual realm. So how and what do I mean? It means this. Most people who are going to get married and they do the traditional route means that the agreement first has to be in the spiritual. It's ancestors from the woman's side and ancestors from the man's side. There has to be an agreement there that there's going to be a forging of a new lineage moving forward through the offspring that will come from this marriage. Do you understand? So the relationship is at that ancestral level first, before it is a relationship here. Unfortunately, many of us are putting the cart before the horse, and we're starting relating and having children here, and then trying to force our ancestors into a relationship there. Meanwhile, had things been done properly, it could have been deciphered that there are certain ancestors who don't want to mix their lineage with lineage of that ancestry because there's some dark things maybe in that lineage and they don't want any offspring coming off of it. Then people wonder why when they do get married, no children are being born, or all the children come and there's always miscarriages. Well, when we look deeper, we find that there's a set of ancestors who are like, we are not mixing with that lineage. We don't want these people because of X, Y, Z, and. So in order for you to have peace in your marriage and a chance at a long-lasting marriage, there has to be alignment between these two lineages at the ancestral level. If there is alignment at the ancestral level, believe you me, those marriages rarely have any problems. They have the usual problems just regular problems, but those marriages are solid. They're built on a solid ancestral foundation. And here's the other thing with those kind of marriages. Say you're in an ancestral marriage that is approved, and say the ancestor of the husband really, really loves you as the wife who goes into that family setup. Your husband can do all sorts of mess and he's going to get into such big trouble. His ancestors will fight for you when he decides to do wrong things. But if you kind of got in surreptitiously through the back door and they don't quite approve and they don't quite like how you do things, that marriage doesn't stand much of a chance. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but marriage in the African sense is a deeply sacred thing, not to be taken lightly and not to be gone into lightly. Because once there's been that ancestral tie at that ancestral level between these two lineages, that marriage is considered forever. There is a saying that even if the wife was to go out and cheat, she doesn't get divorced. If the man cannot forgive her perhaps and sort things out, she has to, within the homestead, get her own home built for her so that even if he takes another person because he no longer wants her, she's still married in there. There's no divorce in African marriages. Just so you know. There's no divorce. So it's not something to take lightly at all. It's not something to take lightly because it really, hey guys, if you knew the ancestors in the ancestral realm, a lot of you wouldn't play. A lot of you are really playing because I don't think any of you have experienced ancestral wrath. Maybe some of us are the way we are because we've been, we felt it. And I've seen them do things that like will just floor you. Yeah, there's no divorce. There's no divorce. It's no divorce. You're in. And so it's recognized also in the physical that once you're in, you're in. So no matter what it is you do, yes, you cannot be moved or removed from that homestead. And okay, so here's a typical situation. Say a woman cheats and she's married in the traditional African sense and she falls pregnant and has a child. That child The father outside is not recognized. That child belongs in this home. That child will be given the name of the husband. That child will have rituals and ceremonies done according to how they are done in that homestead, the same way as her children with her husband are done. That child becomes part of that. Whether the husband likes or doesn't like, it's neither here nor there. Why? Because she is now a permanent fixture in this home because of that joining of the ancestors. Does it cause a problem for said child? It can. If the ancestors on the father's side decide to pick it up a notch to say, hey, that's our child. Or if this child is ancestrally gifted and it traces to the father's side, that's where shit hits the fan. But then people have to deal with the consequences of their actions. It gets messy. But there's nothing that cannot be solved in the spiritual space. It will be solved. There will be ways in which that gets solved too. But yeah, that's how deep that is. Namikoko, after hearing these teachings, I'm not ready. Umshado. Yay. It's a deep one. For me, what's the deep one is when they put the nyongo on you and they say, there's a saying, and they give you a knife. And the knife basically is that there's an isiZulu saying, and I'm going to translate it, which basically says, no matter what happens, even if you're holding the knife by the blade and is cutting, you shall stay. Oh my God. I ain't the one. I ain't the one. I'm not doing genile. Because basically what that saying is, and there's also a saying that when you go and you get married, you die, you are killed at your parents' home and then brought back to life in your husband's home, meaning you, as far as your people are concerned, you did. Guys, hi. Shadani Asnamona, please get married. We have no jealousy. Do. Oh, my God. Imagine. Anyway, for people like me, it's impossible because I'm an ancestral child. Tell me which of my ancestors you're going to tell me that I have to divorce that side where I was brought up and raised and die to those people and then be raised here and take on that identity. It ain't gonna happen. I can tell you that. I know who I carry. I know who gifts me. Not gonna happen. And that's why a lot of ancestrally gifted people don't get married. A lot of us don't get married because there are just certain things that are not going to be able to be possible. Now, there are some who've been fortunate enough to get married. But majority of us, we're not going anywhere. So just be at peace. Take care of your life. Take care of your practice. And do the necessary. Do whatever it is you're called to do. Because that whole marriage thing, it's going to miss a whole lot of us. And it hurts to see a lot of, especially the young ancestrally gifted, trying shame. And you see the videos that they make always crying about, when is my person coming? When is my person coming? And their ancestors are probably saying, God, she's becoming really aggravating with all these questions about her person. We are her people. What the hell is she talking about? It's such as life, guys. It's such as life. So as healers, nje, for the majority of us, and another reason why many of us are not going to make it in marriages is because abafana basile. Men are doing the most out there, and we require a certain level of purity to be able to do this work. So they're not gonna. You can partner and ask them to bring someone into your field of vision who perhaps, but then because there are so few who are actually like this, there's nobody coming. Maybe we all need to find that one good person, that one good guy, and just have a big old stembu. I don't know, 30, 40 of us for that one person. Because at least it's good. So, you know what I mean? If they approve. Because, wow, it's slim pickings. There are too few. Because the majority is trash. You know? Majority is rubbish. And because we can't live normal lives like any other person, we can't do trial and error. We can't. Yeah, so ilap, it is like that. It's Charlotte. Why are you saying how I'm cool? It's the truth. We have to face the facts of our life. If you're ancestrally gifted, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time. And most times, if you do force things, everything will become blocked, or you'll get into a relationship or a marriage with someone who will abuse you, who will beat you blue black, and they will be like, yeah, laegile, serves you right, because we told you not to go there, but you insisted. Hey, and it will be like you are in hell. Or you will go and the family won't like you, and it will be hell. And guess what? You'll take your smolinyana shwapa and you'll march right back out, and you will go like this with your tail between your legs back to your ndumba. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, guys. Some of us have accepted. Yeah, uyanyisa shame you, why? Anyway, minanjoli guys, you guys are the ones who are doing this thing. Nah, you don't know how I love my peace. I don't have time for nonsense, and most of what's out there is nonsense. So have at it, enjoy. Some of you are addicted to this, to the pain of mjolo. So feed your addictions. I'm not the one. I'm too old for that anyway. Like, I'm way too old for that nonsense. I'm not a kid anymore. So, any other questions, comments? How do you know if you're an ancestral child? Oh, Brit. There are many signs and symptoms. You remember, like, if you go on YouTube, if you go under the playlist spirituality, go start at the very beginning, and you'll probably find that go start at the very, very beginning, and you'll find that I do a progression of videos where I teach about how you know. The ultimate way you know you're ancestrally gifted is by doing a divination consultation. That's the ultimate way you know. However, that way, like I say, is the ultimate, should just be a confirmation of things that you are seeing in your dream state, things that you are experiencing within your body, and so on and so forth. So it's not like you can just go to someone who says you are spiritually gifted. Meanwhile, you don't have or have not seen or experienced in the dreamscape or in your body something to indicate that that might be the case. Do you see what I'm saying? Even that's why the way I work is someone can come to me and I can see immediately that they're ancestrally gifted. Most times I can even see what spirits are moving around them. It's very easy to see through energy reading, because a lot of these spirits sit along that chakra even though they're not activated. So if you know how to read energy like I do, you can do that without needing to even throw bones or do a reading. But I wait to hear, and then I give a confirmation. And you can't come to me and say, Gogo, am I spiritually or ancestrally gifted? Because I'll say, I don't know. I can ask you that question. Are you ancestrally gifted? Because really, that's a question that you should be able to answer. What brought up that question? There must be something that is happening to you that will bring that question up. So if you come to me cold turkey and just say, Coco, am I spiritually gifted? I'll say, I don't know. Even if I do know, I don't know. You tell me, are you? What's happening to you? Because I work differently. Because I work in truth and I work in authenticity. Because I also believe that if you are ancestrally gifted, the signs are there, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go and initiate. So I don't want to give people information that they can then later abuse and tell themselves that they need to go to initiation school. Because a lot of your which means you are chacharach, which means you are, I'm looking for an English word, which means you are forward. You are too forward. You want everything now, yesterday. You don't want to go through the process. So I'm not going to help you do that because everybody has to go through the process properly. Otherwise, you short circuit your own journey. And there's no lozi on demand. These guys will take their time in revealing themselves to you when and how, whenever. Your deal is patience, but people aren't patient. You tell somebody to go and patla today at the river. Tomorrow they're saying, I went to patla and I felt nothing. And I'm like, okay. Like, how's that my business? You felt nothing, okay? What you want to feel? Like, you felt nothing, okay? Good. Like, what do you want me to say? So sometimes, it's a very huge test in patience for me. And I always have to remember that a lot of people have no clue. They don't come from homes where this is done. They don't come from homes, they come from a Christian background, most of them. Like they're starting at grade 0. Not even grade R, grade 0. And then comes grade R. So I have to, it's a real test of patience for me to recognize that quickly, to say, no, the person I'm dealing with here has no clue. And then we start at that foundational level. So guys, my work is hard. So gift me, gahle. Yeah. Ha, you, this life, you guys, you put us through the most. I'm only joking. But thank you for gifting. I was just joking, guys. Go subscribe to YouTube. That's how you can thank me. Because with YouTube, guys, guess what? We are 600 people away from 15K in less than a year. By the way, YouTube is popping. We're building a beautiful family over there in YouTube because YouTubers are a different breed. They're really serious about their business. They're really serious about their work. They're really serious about this spirituality thing. Over here, I think there are people who are serious, but at the same time, they're also here for the dances and the, what is it? Birimarong. Yeah. Get a sharper, get a distance, na cash contant. Shanda. Yeah, most people, they happen to pass this by and they're like, oh, some spirituality stuff, let's hear. And then after that, they're going to see what some other two gogos are, fisticuffs. It's, the drama and the sensationalism and what the celebrities are doing. The people on YouTube is a different category of people. So that's why I always post back to YouTube as well. And I'm going to start doing lives on YouTube. Which will be mainly story times. But I do like this mode of teaching, and I've told you why. Because I can put filter and you guys think I'm all perfectly made up. Meanwhile, whereas when I do lives over there, I'm going to need to make some effort. And sometimes, guys, I don't want to make effort. It's like almost 10 o'clock over here. I've had a long day. I've had a string of consultations. I don't want to make an effort. But over here, I look like I made... Filters are grand. They are great. TikTok is Cartoon Network for adults. Absolutely. It can be the greatest distraction ever. And a lot of people will hear good stuff and things they're meant to implement, and they will never get to implement them because they are too busy scrolling. By the time they've watched the 10th sensational business video, they've forgotten about the good stuff that they had taken from that first video, which they could have implemented. It's a mess. And right now, as adults, we don't need to be distracted. Our liberation depends on our being focused and on our becoming awake and being conscious. So as long as we are addicted to our distractions, which are many, it's going to be very hard for us to achieve the things that we're supposed to achieve in a timely manner. You know, and most of us, it is what it is. What can we do? People like me are trying to conscientize people as much as I possibly can. I try to make people aware of what time it is, really. I try to also bring a perspective where I'm showing people, not just I'm trying to say to people, stop looking at your own little corner and just expand your consciousness a little bit to see what is happening to the Black family or the Black nation, the world, all over the world. I also try to bring knowledge and information that shows people what time it is in terms of what age we're in terms of what is expected of us. I try to show people that this is not the time for distraction, but this is the final push for our ultimate liberation. I try to show people that there is a certain way in which you're supposed to live now, because the old way of doing things is not going to wash. You know, I try to educate people on how they've been mentally enslaved and try to shake them out of that apathy, that sense of helplessness, to show them that you are God, you are master of your domain, you are master of your life, your ancestors, and try to show people that you can't sit and wait for someone or something external to come and shift your life for you. It's never going to happen. So some of us are trying, but I'm at peace because I'm doing my part. You know, they always say that you can take a horse to the river, but you can't make the horse drink. You know, so we people like me, Mkhulu Nsingiza, there are a whole lot of other people who are really just doing what it is we're called to do. What happens after that, we have no control over, right? So Zugo, yeah, hamba mfowethu. If you can't do isingisi ekseni, go. This life is not for you. Go somewhere else where you don't have to listen to isingisi. Oh, guys, he's complaining about English so early in the morning. Yeah, Huck, keep it moving, mfowethu. Nobody asked you to stay here. Kahle kahle. Nobody invited you here. Kahle kahle. You are nama rude. Why ningananhlonipho? Awubulisi nokubulisa umuntu onjani? Unabuntu wena. Tag. Anyway, guys, before I jump out of my phone and grab Vuyo or whatever his name is by the throat for being so disrespectful and not even knowing how to greet. These are the basics of Ubuntu, which we've lost. That's why the Black family is a mess. Anyway, before I jump out and grab somebody by the... let me say good night, and I'll see you guys on the next one. If you have questions, line up your questions, because probably the next couple of ones I'm just going to be doing question time. So you guys can, can just write your questions and stuff like that. And then when I come on, and you'll see question time, just hop on and ask. Ne? Otherwise, love you guys so much. Thank you for staying around, and siyathokoza.